What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Foote, and we are taking a look today at a very big bit of news coming out of Tampa. The Tampa Bay Lightning may have to get rid of a key cornerstone piece to their dynasty run. Ryan McDONAGh is one of the names mentioned out there. We'll go over some other names, but this is breaking news that I had to talk about, so we'll take a look at some teams that could be a fit. We're also going to take a look at the injuries that Tampa sustained during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that's where we're going to start today's video. This team went through the ringer, to say the least, during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Obviously, we know Braden Point led the list with a significant tear in his quad, going back to that Toronto Maple Leafs series. He'll be recovered in a few weeks. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, he's definitely a war veteran in the National Hockey League. He had a meniscus injury going into the playoffs, so he started the playoffs unhealthy. Anthony Cirelli suffered an AC joint sprain. He's going to need surgery for that. And Ryan McDonough has a mangled finger, blocking a shot from the New York Rangers series. Nikita Kucherov also has a torn meniscus as well. Brandon Hagel had a foot fracture against the Florida Panthers. Nick Paul had a shoulder AC joint sprain and an MCL sprain. Corey Perry had a shoulder AC joint sprain. Got a feel for that guy right now. All are expected to make full recovery, so that's the good news. But definitely, just shows you the amount of sacrifice Tampa had to go through. I know that the Lightning fans want to forget about this season now and kind of move forward. But those players are going to have that on their mind all season. That's bulletin board material going into next year. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, to say the least, I do not want to play them that first week of next season. They are going to be angry. And I think all that that energy they have, they just got tired. They were out of gas. And I think they'll be, with a strong summer this year and hopefully some depth additions, maybe it'll ease some of the pressure off of next season for them. So that gets us into the main topic of today's video, because right now Tampa Bay is in a spot where they have to find cap space. They have the second highest salary in the National Hockey League at over $84 million, almost $2 million over the salary cap ceiling. That's a no-no in the NHL. That only works in the playoffs, so they need to get that down. And one of the names that's been mentioned, obviously they have some big, UFAs this summer. Guys that, let's be honest, they're not going to return. Nick Paul, Riley Nash were trade additions at the trade deadline. I don't think they'll keep Jan Rutta. There's just not enough cap space on this team. And then the other one being Ondrej Palat. Ondrej Palat is coming off of a contract he signed back in July 14th of, July 14th of 2017. He signed a 5-year, $26.5 million contract. It was $5.3 million per season, and I would expect a raise here for Ondrej Palat, just his significance to this hockey team. But it probably won't be very much. I'm looking at maybe 5.5 per year, maybe 6 at most for Palat. But this is a guy that just has so much intrinsic value to this team. He's a glue guy, and I think they're going to do everything possible to keep Ondrej Palat. And this is from Kevin Allen. He said the Lightning don't have the money to sign Ondrej Palat, Nick Paul, and Jan Rutta as of right now. And obviously the biggest priority out of all of those guys is definitely Palat. As good as Nick Paul was and Jan Rutta helped out on the blue line, they need to keep Palat. That is number one. That is priority number one this season. Now, what gets interesting here is we also have some guys that are, if they are to keep Palat, and considering they're $2 million over the salary cap ceiling, with the salary cap going up $1 million, they don't have any money. So what are the two big names that we've been heard out of Tampa? Well, the first one we've heard, since, really up until now, the one big one has been Alex Killorn. Alex Killorn's contract he's on the final year of that deal. He's making $4.45 million next season. He does have a modified no trade clause, so 16-team no trade list. So half the league he could basically put on there and say, yeah, I don't want to go to these teams. And then from there, the Lightning have to find a team that is, again, you have to look at the value. What is Killorn's value? Is it a cap dump where they're giving up draft picks to get rid of him? Or are they maybe getting a second or first round pick back for Killorn? I think that's going to be kind of interesting. Is it the JT Miller trade that we saw with Vancouver a couple years back? And look how that's turned out for Vancouver. Pretty good trade. Or is it the latter, again, where they're giving up Killorn and a third in order to just trade him, right? So that's kind of what you're looking at. This is also from Joe Smith. He said that Alex Killorn is a player that could have value on the trade market. Again, kind of going back to what I just mentioned. But the breaking news here is from Elliotte Friedman, and this is one that we just got. And this is kind of tough. This isn't a guy I was expecting Tampa to consider trading, but Julien Brisebois has made it upon himself to say, we need to make a significant change here. And that is, according to Elliotte Friedman, he said the Tampa Bay Lightning are working with Ryan McDonaugh to find a trade fit. Now, this is huge for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, this would be a huge trade for this team. When you look at this hockey team, the idea of trading Ryan McDonaugh right now is almost ludicrous. But that's what we're looking at here. The Tampa Bay Lightning have been rumored to be going for a trade for Ryan McDonaugh. The Lightning are working with McDonough to try and trade and find a trade fit for the defenseman. Tampa Bay doesn't want to do it, but they're strapped for cap space and have important UFAs in Andre Palat, Nick Paul, and Jan Rutta. His teammates are very disappointed to hear that McDonough may be on his way out of Tampa Bay. And this is from the latest 32 thoughts from Elliotte Friedman. So this is just like groundbreaking. This is a huge rumor here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. McDonough has 4 more years left on his contract, $6.75 million per season. This contract will take him till he's 37 years old. He does have a no-trade clause, so full autonomy on a trade here for Ryan McDonaugh. He's a left-shot defenseman, 33 years old, but teams will take him because he's Ryan frickin' McDonaugh. Now the question comes, what teams are interested and what's the price? Now you know that the price is going to be high, but Tampa might lose a little leverage because, hey listen, they're trading his salary here. So they might not get the value that they want for a guy like Ryan McDonaugh. So this is going to be kind of an interesting cat and mouse situation. So when I look at teams in particular that are going to be interested in Ryan McDonaugh, there's going to be plenty. 2 teams that are glaring to me, in my opinion, are the Seattle Kraken and the Nashville Predators. I think those 2 teams in particular, they have cap space and they could really use a defenseman. A veteran defenseman in that matter, like Ryan McDonaugh. Nashville is a little under the salary cap floor, as well as Seattle, who's almost $1.5 million under the cap floor. So those 2 teams are definitely players for Ryan McDonaugh. I look at Nashville and Seattle. New Jersey could be in the mix there, depending on what they do. They're almost $4 million under the salary cap floor. But I think those are the 3 teams: New Jersey, Seattle, and Nashville. Those are my 3 picks for where Ryan McDonaugh could get traded. They have the assets and the cap space where I think they could get a deal done. This is breaking news for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I know that those players in there are hurting, as if losing in the playoffs and the finals again at home, another team lifting the cup on Tampa's home ice, as if that wasn't burning enough for the rest of this summer. Now they have to fathom the idea of rumors coming out about one of their alternate captains, Ryan McDonaugh, being on the way out. Listen, Tampa has the defensive depth. And you know what? This is almost a passing of the torch because you look at that blue line. I mean, it's just so stacked. You still have Victor Hedman, Mikhail Sergachev, Eric Chernak, and I think the emergence of Cal Foote really makes this, the loss of Ryan McDonaugh, you lose a little bit of that sting when you see how good Cal Foote was this season. I made a video last summer about how guys like Cal Foote, Boris Tkachuk have to develop. And, looking back now, Boris Tkachuk got traded early on to the Chicago Blackhawks in that Hagel trade. But Cal Foote's emergence really has allowed the Lightning to complete this transaction. I think that Julien Brisebois sees what he has in him as a player and is thinking, listen, I think looking at next year even, Tampa needs to create cap space. And as much as a Killorn contract being moved helps you for this year, and they probably will have to do that too. I think Killorn and McDonough will both be on their way out. Will free them $11 million of cap space. You also have to look at past this season, and that's where McDonough's contract for the next 4 years, that is more of a hindrance even than Killorn, who has 1 year left on his deal. And when you look at the guys that are up next year, I mean, Tampa's going to have to redevelop their blue line. Cal Foote's going to be coming off of his ELC next year. Erik Cernak, he's going to definitely see a raise, and he is a very valuable defenseman to this team, and I think this kind of indicates that. As well as Mikhail Sergachev is an RFA next year as well. So, Tampa has 3 big-name RFAs next year that, for all we know, could end up getting offer-sheeted next year. And they're still very young. Cal Foote's 23, Chernak's 25, Sergachev's 24. Those guys are just going into the prime of their NHL careers. So Tampa's going to have to fork over a lot of money, but they're still, their core of that blue line, despite Hedman, is still very, very young. And when you look at up front, Ross Colton comes off of a contract, and Anthony Cirelli, that could be a real problem next summer if Cirelli is up. So Tampa Bay is in a very interesting spot, and now we're hearing the rumor that, if Ryan McDonough gets traded, that would be absolutely huge. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What are your possibilities of the teams I mentioned? Maybe another team I didn't mention. Which of those teams do you think is a fit in a Ryan McDonough trade? And leave some mock trades down below for what you think the return could be for Ryan McDonough. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.